Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, thank you, IMA Amravati, CGP, especially Neeraj Murke sir, Sharmishta ma'am, for giving me opportunity to speak in front of you. So, I'll be speaking on pediatric airway foreign bodies, awareness and paradigm shift in management. I want to dedicate my presentation to my beloved teacher. She passed away. She left heavenly abode last year. Dr. Mrs. Ambulkegar Madam. She was my HOD and she taught me how to operate. And because of her only, I think I am here. So according to the large retrospective analysis published in 2016 in United States, the mortality rate among pediatric patients is around 2.5%, such a high percent. So quantum of problem is too big with pediatric airway foreign bodies, basically with its management. Until 18th century, foreign body bronchus were removed by bronchotomy. And in 1897, Killian used esophagoscope for removal of foreign body. It is one of the commonest difficult situation which poses diagnostic as well as therapeutic challenge. It is more common in 1 to 3 years of age group, and boys are more susceptible than girls. And most common site of lodgement in airway foreign body is bronchus, that is around 83% of the cases. What you need to be a bronchoscopy surgeon? You should have patience, you should have precision, partnership, that is, it is nothing but a teamwork and proper planning, which has to be tailor-made in each and every case. So there are 3 phases of airway foreign bodies. First one is initial phase of choking, second is asymptomatic when there is relaxation of reflexes, and third phase is phase of complication where patient may present with atelectasis, consolidation or pneumothorax. So I want to start my presentation with a scenario which recently happened at my hospital in May 2020, that is during lockdown time. A patient, 1 year patient was brought in emergency with a airway foreign body. This is a CCTV recording. Just you can see how panicked they were. I was 1 minute away from them, so I could save the child. So this is how what happens in this. Mine is a very small setup, and during lockdown you can know the things how it will go. So this is how. This is another video. I took the patient in my OPD chamber itself and depressed the tongue, and I could remove the foreign body. I was lucky enough and could save the child. So this was the foreign body which was removed from the supraglottic airway. So it was almost completely occluding the airway. When I shifted the patient to casualty later on, saturation was in 70 after removal of the foreign body. I gave oxygen to the patient, and patient later on shifted to pediatric setup, and we could save the child. This is how what happens in a airway foreign body, such a panic situation. Now the eyes see what the mind knows. Basically, this is regarding awareness regarding foreign bodies. Most of the foreign bodies, they remain undiagnosed. But any case with abrupt onset of dyspnea, cough in age group of 6 months to 3 years of age group, we should suspect foreign bodies. Any unresolved pneumonias, if patient is having recurrent pneumonia with no other cause, suspect foreign body. There are in almost 70% of the cases, X-ray may be normal in foreign bodies. And you should not hesitate to go for diagnosticoscopy because definitely benefits are more than drawback. In my I had done 225 cases of diagnostic and negative scopies have been excluded from present studies. And in my series, most of the patients were from 1 to 3 years of age group. Among 225 cases, around 120 cases I did by conventional method, that is by non-ventilating scope, and later 105 cases. It's almost all after introduction of ventilating bronchoscope. I did 105 cases by storage ventilating bronchoscope. Why this is common in children? Because they want to explore new things, tend to put objects in the mouth. They have tendency to get easily distracted while eating. They lack molars, so they can't grind the things properly. In my series, most common site of lodgement is almost in 59% cases is right bronchus, followed by left bronchus, then glottic and subglottic. So for any surgery to proceed, we should have a roadmap. In airway foreign bodies, the most important role is role of consent. You need to take a proper consent in all the cases. In all the cases of airway foreign bodies, we take on-table death consent and tracheostomy consent also. Proper pre-operative medication is needed. If patient gives time, then only pre-operative medication may be administered, because sometimes we need to take patient directly to the operation theater. And third and most important thing is, each and every case needs to be discussed with your team, that is pediatrician, anesthetist, and also with the OT staff, because the management depends on the location of the foreign body. And in my cases, what I do, if I suspect a subglottic or tracheal foreign body, I give neck infiltration earlier only. Tracheostomy may be needed or may not be needed. That hardly matters, but I infiltrate 0.5 ml thiocyanate adrenaline in the neck in all the patient where I think that he may even 0.5% chance of doing tracheostomy. I preoperatively only infiltrate in the neck. So this is my first bronchoscopy patient. I did my first bronchoscopy in my private setup in July 2011. This was the X-ray of that patient, and this is the pic of the patient who later on visited after 3 years to me in 2014. So this is now why I started bronchoscopy. So there are very few centers where bronchoscopy is being done. I practice at Gondia. It is a district place, quite a big place, but still the base center where bronchoscopy is being performed routinely is almost 165 kilometers away. So this is the man behind me who made me to start bronchoscopy. His senior pediatrician, Dr. Umesh Sharma sir, who said me, yaar, only 50% patient reach to Nagpur. Why can't we start bronchoscopy at our center at Gondia? So he's my mentor and his senior pediatrician, proprietor of Gondia City Hospital, Gondia. And because of him only, I started bronchoscopy. And the main pillar is Dr. Nitin Kotwal sir. He's senior anesthetist at Gondia, and almost 95% of the cases in my bronchoscopy cases, he has given anesthesia. He's main pillar and big pillar. So coming to the conventional bronchoscopy. So this is my conventional bronchoscopy set, which I used to do earlier. Now also, I am having each and every size bronchoscope, because you don't know when which instrument will be useful. So this is before introduction of ventilating bronchoscope. These are a few images, because we can't record with conventional bronchoscope. This is the main drawback. And bronchoscopy time is also more with conventional bronchoscopy. Here you can see pre-bronchoscopy and post-bronchoscopy X-ray of patient. This is another child, 10-month-old child with right bronchus popcorn. You can see a huge mediastinal shift along with this child presented with surgical emphysema. We could remove the foreign body in time and we could save the child, 10-month child. This is another custard apple seed. You can see the saturation 77 on table, and this post-procedure saturation, it's not very clear, it's 97%. It was custard apple seed in lead bronchus. So in our series, total 5 patients were tracheostomized and 3 cases needed transtracheal removal of foreign body, as foreign body was too big to come out transglottic. So this is one of the case. This is a case of a girl with a known case of seizure disorder. You can see a subglottic foreign body. It is coconut piece. So we were not able, after induction of the patient, we were not able to remove the foreign body transglottic. So what we did tracheostomy and we removed the foreign body pieces transtracheally. So these are another 2 cases. This jamun seed in the subglottis. This I did at BG Hospital, I think. And this is almond, a nightmare, a biggest nightmare in my life, almost 2.5 hours of struggle. And we could remove this almond from subglottic area, but transtracheally. So whosoever is doing conventional bronchoscopy, because this I would recommend to go for ventilating bronchoscopes only, but whosoever is doing conventional bronchoscopy, they can go with this. You can, if you are using a conventional bronchoscope, just insert a tracheostomy tube and ventilate child from here if saturation is dropping. In that case, what will happen? if saturation is dropping. In that case, what will happen? You will remove, you will reduce, definitely reduce the number of attempts of insertion of the bronchoscope if saturation is dropping. You can ventilate the child, you just close this port and ventilate the child from here. So this is how you can at least convert this non-ventilating bronchoscope into a ventilating bronchoscope. And it will definitely reduce your number of insertions of the bronchoscope inside the airway, which really matters in cases of airway foreign bodies. Later on, introduction of this flexible bronchoscope in my armamentarium. So this was a this is a 1-year child who presented with sudden respiratory distress. The child was intubated by Dr. Sharma sir, pediatrician, and in ICU itself, what I did, this 2.8 millimeter flexible bronchoscope I passed, and I could see a foreign body. Then immediately we took the child to OT, and we could remove this custard apple from. Definitely, this was done with conventional bronchoscope because at that time I was not having ventilating bronchoscope. But the real game changer is this Storz ventilating bronchoscope with camera system. So this is my first bronchoscopy with ventilating bronchoscope. You can see how clearly we can visualize the foreign body. This is the trachea and foreign body. This is very first bronchoscopy of mine. It took little bit time because of there are many parts of this. You need to know about optical forceps, you need to know about bronchoscopy sheath. But if you do 4 or 5 cases, then it will be easy like cakewalk for you. So this is how I am grasping the foreign body with the optical forceps. Now I am trying to remove the foreign body. So this is how it can be done, and this is the removed foreign body. This is another case of foreign body in the left bronchus. So you can see the hyperinflated airway on left side. Little bit emphysematous changes are there. So this is how we can see a foreign body in the left bronchus. There is inadequate forceps space, but we could manage properly. There are basically 2 prototype cases just to show the technique of telescopic bronchoscopy. Now I'll show you one more case because most of the cases they remain undiagnosed. This is a patient, 2-year-old girl with history of foreign body inhalation 15 days prior. She was taking treatment here and there. This is 3-year-old X-ray where it's near normal X-ray. Only right side hyperinflation is there, and this is the X-ray when she came to us. Little bit of mediastinal shift is there. So this is how for bronchoscopy technique. Now I'm inserting. I did laryngoscopy. Now I am inserting the bronchoscope. I had inserted the bronchoscope. This is Fluox adapter. This is bronchoscopy sheath. So after visualization the bronchoscope, now ventilation has started. So this is just like an endotracheal tube now. Now after that, the next step would be insertion of optical forceps. So after visualization the foreign body, I am inserting the optical forceps. And this is the endoscopic view. Being this is a 15-day-old foreign body. 15-day-old foreign body, lot of granulations were there, little bit of bleeding was there, and we could remove the foreign body in pieces. So if foreign body is little big, then this is the maneuver we perform. You can see here clearly, my assistant is keeping finger in mouth to open it. And I am removing the foreign body along with the forceps, along with the bronchoscopy sheath, because it was too big to come out through the sheath. So sometimes we get more number of airway foreign bodies than nasal foreign bodies. These are 4 foreign bodies in 3 days. Left complete collapse. This is hyperinflation on right side. This is again, this is dead seed, I think. Yeah, on emphysematous changes on right side. This is one of the interesting case. 11-month-old infant with sudden respiratory distress. You can see the respiratory distress in this patient. So we did scopy in the patient. So here foreign body is visualized in the trachea. This is basically a tracheal foreign body. So we removed the foreign body with the forceps. So I'm removing the foreign body. After removing foreign body, as a rule, we go for Chalcoscopy. In each and every case, Chalcoscopy revealed one more foreign body in the trachea. So this again, second foreign body was removed, and this is how patient was. This is the removed foreign body. You can see here. So one more case of tracheal foreign body. Tracheal foreign bodies are really very, very difficult. If you find that sometimes if you may not be able to remove the foreign body and patient is not maintaining saturation, then it's better to push the foreign body in either bronchus and then take your own time, ventilate the child, and then only remove the foreign body. So in this, as baby was maintaining saturation, so what I did, this foreign body was not coming out of trachea. So what I did, I crushed the foreign body and I removed the foreign body in pieces. So this is the removed foreign body, and this is also one of the interesting case. Now, I think this must be, or this is the nightmare for each and every ENT surgeon or bronchoscopist, foreign body both bronchus. Now this is, we are having in our series almost 2 cases of foreign body both bronchus. So this is a 3-year-old child with sudden onset respiratory distress. He was having choking spell while eating peanut at around 7 p.m. There was gross reduction in air entry on left side. Pulse rate was 164, saturation was 64, and patient was little bit drowsy. You can see hyperinflated airways bilateral. So this is the preoperative video. We had shifted the patient in our operation theater for bronchoscopy. So we intubated, as baby was not maintaining saturation, we intubated the child first. And I did flexible bronchoscopy. I could see through that endotracheal tube only, I could see a foreign body in the left lower bronchus. And on other side also, I could see some secretions in the left bronchus and foreign body in the right bronchus. So we removed the endotracheal tube and put our bronchoscope. I could remove the foreign body from right bronchus in places. Later on, we again intubated the child. Later on, we again intubated the child. Did Chalcoscopy. Chalcoscopy revealed foreign body in the left bronchus. Right bronchus was very, very clear. This is right bronchus. Now we could see a foreign body in the left bronchus. So foreign body left bronchus again was removed with optical forceps. So this is how, again, Chalcoscopy as a rule. After removing both bronchus foreign bodies, that is from right and left, we did intubated the child, did Chalcoscopy. Both bronchus were very, very clear. You can see this is left bronchus. Earlier one was right bronchus. So this was total 1 hour 45 minutes of struggle. We started on 3rd December at 11:30 and ended on early morning 1 a.m. But we could save the child. This is post-op saturation of the patient, and this is the removed foreign body, right and left nut. This is another case of 10-month infant with sudden respiratory distress after inhaling nut. Saturation was around in 40s with absent complete collapse of the left lung. You can see patient was immediately intubated by the pediatrician, and wasting no time, we shifted the patient to emergency OT, and we could see the foreign body in the left main bronchus. It was custard apple seed basically. Custard apple seed was completely blocking the left bronchus. So one more case. Another case of respiratory distress who presented 11-month infant with worsening respiratory distress and cough and history of foreign body inhalation 15 days prior. Here you can see a retrocardiac shadow. So it was again coconut piece was there in the left bronchus in this particular case. So now these cases are very, very difficult to treat basically.
Neeraj, Dr. Sanjay Bhagat has got muted. Unmute him.
Ma'am, am I audible now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah. So this is a 1-year-old kid with metallic hook. This I did recently, I think last week only. And there was history of inhalation of foreign body 1 day prior. So parents were too poor to bring the child to hospital. I don't know, but he was having a little bit noisy breathing. And this is the cry of the patient. Can you hear it? I think it's a husky cry. And little bit respiratory distress was there. When we shifted the patient in the ICU, patient was having saturation in 90s, and this is the foreign body. You can see a foreign body at the level of C5, C6. So patient was shifted to OT. So with 0 degree telescope only I did examine. In this case, we did not give full anesthesia. That is, we did not paralyze the patient because I discussed the case with my anesthetist, Dr. Kotwal sir, and we just only gave propofol in this case because it was next to impossible to intubate the case because foreign body was completely blocking the airway, that is glottic aperture. So we could remove the foreign body, not with ease really, but so this is another case, a big zip in subglottic airway. This is a 3-year-old boy. Again, similar technique, little bit of sedation, did laryngoscopy, could see the foreign body removed. This was very, very easy case. And again, we could save the child. So, my presentation, I want to give few tips. So these are few tips that we should have proper paperwork and detailed consent in each and every cases of airway foreign bodies. All cases needs to be discussed with the team, and we should have plan A and plan B ready with us. So whether we have to go for tracheostomy, whether we have to or any other thing that is to be done or regarding medication or any type of anesthesia, that needs to be discussed with the team. We should take that I had already discussed with you earlier. Always we need to take tracheostomy consent in glottic, subglottic and tracheal foreign bodies. I think it's better to take tracheostomy consent in all the cases. Sometimes there is definitely no harm in taking tracheostomy consent, in my opinion. And one more thing, important thing, that once it had happened to me, that consent regarding inability to remove the foreign body. Sometimes what happens when you take the patient, old foreign body, there may be a lot of edema, lot of bleeding may be there, and sometimes you may not be able to remove the foreign body. So this is the most important consent which I take, and I discuss with the parents, all the relatives present over there, that there is possibility that we may not be able to remove the foreign body. And this is one or two patients, this chest physiotherapy helped us a lot. Foreign body was lying deep in left lower lobe bronchus. We were not able to, my forceps was not reaching there. So what we did, we took the patient in, preferably in head low position, we took the patient in other decubitus position, gave little bit chest physiotherapy, foreign body came into the bronchus, and we could remove we could shift the foreign body into the approachable site and could remove with our forceps. We should have proper forceps for proper foreign body. Even if you are using ventilating bronchoscope, I would recommend you to have all sorts of forceps made by Santosh, made by Kalelkar. That is non-ventilating bronchoscopy forceps. You should have all the forceps in your armamentarium. And in telescopic forceps also, you should have hard foreign body forceps also and soft foreign body forceps also. Always keep two light source, two separate oxygen source during the procedure. One for direct visualization and one for telescopic visualization. It helps a lot. Second, this I had already shown you during my surgical video, that you should ask your assistant to keep 2 fingers to open the mouth of the patient during removal of the scope with foreign body at its tip. That is, sometimes if foreign body is too big to come from the sheath, it's better to remove along with, it's not possible to remove from the scope, so we need to take out the scope. But at that time, we should ask our assistant to keep 2 fingers inside the mouth to keep it open. Otherwise, what may happen, that foreign body may hit the molar, hit the teeth, and it may again go inside, and you need to search in nasopharynx, pharynx, and everywhere. And last point is, if baby is not maintaining saturation, in cases of subglottic or tracheal foreign body, better to push the foreign body lower down in either bronchus and stabilize the patient and then remove the foreign body. So take home message is, it's a teamwork, and any patient with unresolved LRTA more than 2 weeks, we need to suspect foreign bodies. And what I think is that pediatricians should be aware, because most of the patients, 99% patients go to the pediatricians, and sometimes they have airway foreign bodies, and they get treatment of pneumonia. So unless and until we remove the foreign body, patient will not get any sort of benefit. And third point is, number of attempts is directly proportional to the morbidity. So expertise this procedure, and less number of attempts means if you remove the foreign body in less time, patient will be having a very good prognosis. So definitely it's better, always better to shift to ventilating bronchoscope. Proper residency learning is very much required, and what I feel is we should have proper residency learning in expertising, proper residency learning in expertising the airway foreign bodies. And what I feel is that every ENT surgeon should perform bronchoscopy, because the place where bronchoscopy is being performed in most of the cities, it's almost because time is most important in saving a child. We need to record the cases which is possible, because we know the mistakes, and whatever modifications we can do in the procedure that we come to know, and also we can present our work. So this is possible with only ventilating bronchoscopes, ventilating endoscopic bronchoscope. And as Samir sir also has told in his presentation, telescopes has brought a revolutionary change in the management of airway foreign bodies. So touch wood, in our series there is no mortality till death, either by conventional or endoscopic method. So thank you very much. Thanks for patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay, for your excellent presentation. It was an audio-visual treat. There are some questions for you. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How do you keep yourself ready for airway foreign bodies?
Sir, I did not get it. How do you keep yourself ready? Means I am always ready if my setup is ready. I did not get the question properly, sir.
Okay. If one has to start as a OPD basis or in inpatient, what all requirements he will need for?
Okay. So there are two things, sir. Either you may be having a conventional setup of bronchoscopy. You need to have instrument first. First thing, you need to have all sorts of bronchoscope. Second, you need to have a proper team. And if patient comes, if a patient of suspected foreign body comes to us, mainly that patient comes to pediatrician, it tells me that there is a suspected foreign body. So what we do, first we counsel the parents. We do proper counseling. Counseling is most important in all the cases of airway foreign bodies. And then rest of the things, I think I told in my presentation, that counseling and planning with the team. And then we don't waste time in airway foreign bodies, sir. Because even if child is stable, if you say that foreign body is lodged in right main bronchus, patient is stable. But what may happen? A short span of cough or short incidence of cough can displace the foreign body, and it can displace the foreign body from bronchus to trachea, and it can be a catastrophe for the patient. So what I'll say, that better not to waste the time in cases of tracheostomy and in airway foreign bodies, and go ahead for the procedure as early as possible.
How do you decide whether to use rigid bronchoscope or flexible one?
Sir, basically foreign bodies I remove with rigid bronchoscopes only. So if I suspect, in cases of diagnostic cases, if I want to know whether they're really, because this flexible bronchoscopy, sir, can be done under sedation. So if I suspect that there may be foreign body, then what I do, I just put a flexible bronchoscope, confirm that foreign body is there inside, then straight away we go for rigid bronchoscopy. If I am having a child, intubated child in ICU setup who has abrupt onset dyspnea and pediatrician has intubated the child, what I can do, I can just push the flexible endoscope from that endotracheal tube, and I confirm that whether it is a foreign body or not. And if foreign body, then we directly take away patient to operation theater and proceed with rigid bronchoscopy for removal of foreign body.
Do you use jet ventilation or Venturi?
No, sir, I don't use jet ventilation or Venturi.
Okay. After how much time do you discharge the patient post-operatively?
Sir, it depends on the patient. If you say you might have seen my very first video that foreign body is right bronchus, left bronchus. If there is no surgical trauma at all, in most of the cases there won't be surgical trauma. Fresh cases you can discharge after 24 hours, and if some edema is there, you can keep the patient for 48 to 72 hours. And decision of discharging patient is of pediatrician only, sir, depending upon the vitals.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your excellent presentation. All knowledge is connected to all the other knowledge. The fun is in making connection between all the knowledge. It was indeed a treat to our brains to have an intellectual assemblage of speakers who share their knowledge and experiences.